It's time for Dart Talk. Brought to you by thedartzone.com. Stay in the zone. Thedartzone.com is an official Cosmo distributor and Windy City Fabricators, America's premier fabricators of orthotics and prosthetics. And Redwood Darts, America's newest tungsten darts. Stand straight and tall and hit them all. Redwood Darts. And now, here are your hosts, Mystery Mark and Steve P.
Dart Talk carries the Internet Broadcast Rating TVD, a broadcast that is specifically designed to be viewed or heard by the darting community, and therefore may be incomprehensible to other lesser mammals. Darter discretion advised.
My name is John Park, three-time world champion. Just won Chicago Pro Tour here. I'm usually not too talkative, but this time around, I think I want to come on your show all the time. You guys got to talk to me.
Hi, John. Welcome to Dart Talk.
Welcome.
Mystery Mark with Steve Poncielman, another episode, number 11, I think, for the year.
All right. March 13th.
Is it?
It is.
Wednesday the 13th?
3/13/13.
Good thing you pointed that out.
Yeah, just in case you were wondering.
Brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, many thanks, Windy City Fabricators and Redwood Darts. How you doing?
I'm doing well.
How
Yourself?
was your weekend?
It was all right. Played some darts.
I want to hear all about it.
You want to hear all about it. Well, I was there. I wouldn't necessarily call it playing darts, but I threw them. But it was interesting. I hadn't done it in a while. We played a little long format round robin.
Right,
and,
we had just for the listeners, we had a qualifier for the ADO regional final,
right?
To qualify for the Winmaw Masters. So
there were 6 of us.
6 of us.
Yeah.
Round robin, 501, 5 legs against everybody. Top 2 played off at the end.
Yes.
And you hadn't played in how long?
At least a year, about a year since I threw a competitive dart, which was just in a league too, and wasn't even in a tournament. So. Yeah, basically last May. So it was fun, though. I mean, I had a good time. I didn't particularly do too well, but I probably did better than I anticipated. I took some out, missed a lot of doubles, but I hit some. I didn't have a lot of games. The competition was good enough where you weren't going to get 12, 15 darts at a double anyway. But there were some legs there where I was able to take it out first or second dart, and then the ones that I did miss, inevitably I lost that leg. But I wasn't the worst, I didn't have the worst record out of the 6 of us.
Yeah, I didn't keep track of that.
I did. I didn't keep track until the last match, and I'm like, I wonder if I have to win X amount in order so I don't finish last. But it wasn't even close, really.
Well, it was nice. We had 6 guys,
yeah,
and everybody put in 1833 or 1850. So the winner would get the 110, and so there weren't any buys.
No.
With 6 guys, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we probably took us 3.5 hours.
Maybe not even that much. I was surprised how quick it moved along, and I think part of that was I was the only smoker.
You're the only one, yeah.
So it wasn't like people disappearing for 10, 15 minutes, after every match. So it went pretty quick. We had to chalk our own, which
right.
Guys didn't seem to have too much of a problem with it. I mean,
I didn't think so.
The chalking and walking is once you're
slows
used
it down
to
a little bit, but it's really not.
There's one player that seemed there was always discussion about his score.
Oh, really?
I'd be playing and I would hear, well, no, that's 47, not 46 or something. I was like,
well,
whatever.
I didn't actually catch that, but
501, I think is pretty easy to chalk on your own. Once you get the hang of it.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that would be much of an impediment. Now you hadn't played in a while. Were you nervous?
No, not really. Well, I mean, I drew you first.
Yes,
so
you
that
did.
actually kind of helped because my goal was just to win one leg, and which actually I accomplished that goal.
Well, you did.
With a gift from you, but
Well,
I think I actually probably got a little tired towards the end. And actually my elbow was sore the next day.
right.
It took me. I think it was Monday. I was like, man, why is my elbow hurt? And then it took me about 2 minutes, and then I realized, well, yeah, because I just threw darts for 5 hours after not throwing, for an extended period of time. So
Well, yeah. I mean, you played 25 competitive legs of 5-0.
Mm-hmm.
The first competitive darts you've played in nearly a year. I would think you should be a little bit sore,
Yeah.
but it wasn't like you hurt yourself or anything.
no,
Right.
I don't think I was nervous just because my expectations were so low, because I was pretty much sure that I wasn't going to win the thing, and then and my mindset was just to go out there and have fun and just kind of see where the darts end up, and but I still wanting to win. You still want, even though you want to win every leg and you're trying to win every leg. I think not only did I get tired towards the end, I also started getting a little frustrated because better dart players were beating me towards the end, and I was only winning 1 out of 5 legs, and then by the time I played my last match, I was just kind of a little bummed out and a little upset. But then I also realized what did I really expect?
Yeah, I was kind of like, sometimes my matches would be the first ones done, so I would have a chance to look a little bit and kind of see. And towards the end, it looked to me like, guys, things weren't going well for them. Like if you're playing in a round robin and you've been losing every match, the last couple of matches when you feel like you're out of it, I think that was really sort of like, oh, what am I doing?
What's the point? Right.
And, the thing about a round robin is like every leg counts.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last round robin we had, there was a guy that only won 2 legs, but one of the legs he won cost a guy a playoff.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of weird. I mean, if I could tell people, like, the ideal mental attitude to have is like, hey, I always felt like darts was a process, and that any given day is just a small snapshot of your dart game. I mean, some people get a little too high and a little too low on one day of darts. If you're going to play darts for 10 or 15 years, the one afternoon you're playing is a speck in the timeline of your career.
Of course, right.
And so I try to tell that to myself when things aren't going good.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
And I think a lot of the better players do. They're kind of like, well, I'll get them tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I had a bad day. I mean, it just stinks when you're having a bad day at a big tournament.
Sure.
Right? Like, we got a big tournament coming up.
Well, if you could choose when to have your bad days, that would be nice.
It'd be nice.
It just doesn't work out that way.
Let's have the bad days at the $5,000 tournaments, at the good days at the $35,000 tournaments, and then you end up
life is good.
Much happier.
Yeah.
Right. And that that's one of the things where like we've got tournaments coming up now. We've had kind of a little bit of a lull, and we do have some results. We got DPNY results. We got PDC results. We'll get to those in a little bit. Let's run the disclaimer before I put my foot
we start
further
talking.
in my mouth. Yeah.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on Dart Talk do not necessarily reflect the thoughts or opinions of the hosts, our sponsors, any official Dart sanctioning organization, and post hoc ergo propter hoc, any and all spelunkers, debunkers, raconteurs, roustabouts, technocrats, hepcats, cat ladies, Lady Gaga, the Four Seasons, the Three Stooges, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, hipsters, kibitzers, hellions, the fickle finger of fate, or Tom Waits.
Okay, we disclaim everything, and
as always,
and we're happy about that. I think that's a good way to roll. I don't know what I was talking about, but it was weird because, the guys that we had, and the reason I want to talk about this, not, it strikes me as being kind of a good microcosm of the difference between playing league darts, right, and having like a good day of competitive darts on, what was it, a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because I'm convinced that if we want to move this sport forward, we need to have more of these, competitive afternoon events that don't involve a lot of traveling, that don't involve a lot of expense on the part of the players, but they get a lot of darts in.
Right. Well, I agree with you because, I mean, you can play your first round robin leg regardless of who it is, and, even if you play poorly and squeak out 3 out of 5 legs or whatever, you can move on. League darts, you play poorly, your first match, and you have an hour and a half wait till you play again, and then it's a doubles match, and then you're not throwing as many darts there, and it's just, and you can't improve really on what you just did. Whereas you're playing so many darts, you can constantly improve, or at least hope to.
Well, yeah, and then the thing about the round robin is, when you have the knockout the next day, if you're the kind of player that doesn't get out a lot, at least Saturday, you kind of work out the kinks, you sharpen up your game, you get battle tested, so to speak, you get your tournament competitive nerves out of the way, and then come Sunday, you're ready to play. Admittedly, it's hard. You play good one day, and then the next day it's not there. I mean, that's frustrating.
Right.
It's frustrating to play really good in the round robin Saturday and then come in on Sunday and have nothing and be like, what happened?
It's like playing in a 2-day golf tournament, too. You can go out there on Saturday and shoot great, and then Sunday you're awful.
But I talked to a couple of the guys that we played with, and they're basically league players, and I'm trying to get a sense of, I
if
think
they enjoy the difference?
Yeah, I think if you're a completely recreational player, where you're just there to have a good time, I could see how this format would be a grind.
Mm-hmm.
I could see how you'd be, especially if you're not one of the stronger players. Nobody wants to get smoked by everybody in the room.
True.
Right?
Right.
But if you do it and you stay with it, you'll get better.
Eventually, you're not going to get smoked by everybody in the room.
By everybody in the room.
Right.
And it'll tell you what you need to work on. If you can get 20 minutes on the board Tuesday and Thursday, or if you can go to a blind draw and get there early enough to, get 45 minutes on the board by yourself, you'll know what you need to do.
Right.
Hopefully. And if you listen to old issues.
But even if you just took the same 5 or 6 guys every week and did the same format, eventually it's going to get to a point, you would think, where almost every round robin match is going to be competitive.
Yeah.
There's still going to be a 5-0 or whatever, but it could be, one missed double was all that mattered in that one, but then they're going to be typically closer to 3-2 every time, and you're going to have basically really competitive darts.
Yeah, and I think, if somebody manages to, get you by a dart here, you lose 6-5 or something, maybe you'll beat yourself up about it. Maybe it'll be hard to let go of it, but at least you'll know you were in a dart match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're going to play best of 3 in some league setting in some noisy, crowded bar, which a pox on trivia night, by the way.
A pox?
A pox on trivia night. I mean, this is part of the, well, okay, maybe we should go to a commercial. I mean, it's part of the
we got
problem.
a couple minutes.
Because I'm thinking that a format like this, you could turn into like a regular league night.
Mm-hmm. I
where
think so.
You just play round robin singles, right? Put 3 guys to a board, play 2 chalk 1.
Yeah.
Blind draw who's on every board, right?
Exactly.
And you could get 20 guys playing all night. You still have people to hang out with. It just strikes me as being like a little bit of work, right?
Well,
but you don't have
probably,
a lot of time to hang out because if you're not playing your chalk in, and maybe your 10-minute break between matches won't match up with your buddy who's on another board or something like that. So I don't know quite. There must be a way to structure it.
It's just like anything, I mean, if you play
20 minutes
if you play in a softball league, you go out and you play your softball match, and then afterwards you hang out.
Afterwards you hang out, right?
If you play in the darts, so you don't have a lot of time to kibitz while you're chalking and then throwing darts. 2 hours after the round robin's over, you sit around and have a couple drinks, and then what's the difference?
Yeah, well, that's a good point. I mean, it struck me as guys were kind of like not used to playing for a half an hour at a time.
Well, it goes back to what do you want? Do you prefer to be in a league where you can sit around for an hour before you play a leg and drink and do some shots, or do you prefer to go out there, throw some darts, have a good time, and then hang around and discuss whatever you feel like discussing?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to get something like this going. I mean, we need a venue. I mean, we need to find a place that's I'm so jealous of New York because, I mean, they have, and New York has a dart tradition that goes back all the way to the 70s. And I don't know if it's because they're on the East Coast and you've got, it's like the first stop for Europeans or something. Who darts is a lot more popular and stuff. But, I mean, there are people going to New York that are like, dead serious about playing, and they get 48 guys for a one-day event.
Yeah.
And it's like 48 guys. They had a $20,000 tournament in Chicago a few years ago. They couldn't get 48 guys for that. It paid $850 to win it.
Right.
And it's kind of like, what happened to... So I was talking to somebody about it because I was thinking we need to start a league like this, you know?
I like
And
that
then,
idea.
You know, put in $10, keep the money, put it aside, and then you could put people in, you know, NWDS hometown events. You could put people in, you know, regional finals and stuff. You know, I don't know what, you know, the finances of some of these private leagues are beyond me. I don't know where the money goes. But you could set this up. You know, instead of traveling, you know, you have it in one place. You have it on a Tuesday night. You don't have to come every week. You know, you keep track of points or, you know, what have you. Stuff like it. It seems like it'd be much easier to get one guy to start something like this than it is some convoluted, you know, get all these teams, go to all these different bars and la-di-da-di-da.
Right.
So I'm thinking like an in-house league, if you found a venue that wanted to work with you, in a year you could really make it something.
Yeah. I don't
mean,
think it would. Yeah, it would take probably a year, but it wouldn't take, you know, a very long time, especially once the word gets out.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's take our first break, and we'll be back in a minute. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. Hit the wrong button.
Apparently.
Okay, we're back for the second quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about how do you grow the sport, right?
That's the ultimate goal.
And you know, if you look at what they're doing in New York, I think Anthony, Eugenie, and whoever's behind this are really doing it correctly and doing it right. And I'm about as jealous as a man can be. But I'm trying to think of how you would really make darts a hit in America, right? So, you know, I have to come up with some sort of an analogy, right?
Okay.
So searching for Bobbi Fisher.
Your analogy is about chess.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because chess is watching paint dry, right?
Yeah.
No, talk about the least friendly or the least
Exciting.
spectator sport would be chess. Literally, people in a room that aren't allowed to talk, staring at a board while some guy, like, you know, moves a piece and thinking, right? I mean,
Plus, the intricacies is so much greater than most people know.
well,
You know, so
yeah, but they have commentators. I mean,
Yeah,
guys can explain stuff. I mean, most people, yeah. I mean, come on, they're not going to get it.
No.
But chess, and this is when I was a kid. Chess took off in America like you would not believe because it was kind of the times and everything. I mean, it was still the Cold War. It was us against Russia and all this other stuff. And the Russians were the kings of chess forever and ever and ever and ever. And all of a sudden there's an American who's like, hey, I can beat these guys. And he's a prodigy, right? I mean, he's like, nobody heard of him, but it's like, you know, when 11-year-olds are winning the national championship, you're like, kind of what the heck? So I'm thinking, what would it take to get the dart equivalent of Bobbi Fisher? And step
I think that'd
one,
be kind of hard to do.
well, step one would be change the Y to an I. Right?
And Bobby?
Yeah. If you could get a woman
Okay.
to become like world champion,
the next great thing,
who was young, and I'm talking young. I'm talking about
16,
17, 18, 19, where, and they're telegenic or photogenic enough where,
right. Well, yeah, I mean, it's going to make people. It's going to become a story, and then people are going to watch, and people are going to look up to that person. And
because to be honest with you, we have a lot of great players in America, and none of them are like fit for People magazine. You know what I mean? I mean, to get like the mainstream people
Sure.
to start thinking about darts as like a sport, we can get the players we have now, put them in a good production, put them on TV, and that would help. But if you really wanted to like skyrocket it through the roof,
right,
you get a teenage girl who's like beating the boys.
Yeah.
And let me.
No, I definitely think that would.
Any idea
that would do
how
it.
many people would start saying, "Mom and Dad, can we go get a dartboard?"
Right.
Right. I mean, that's all it took was one guy, and all of a sudden everybody's playing chess in the park for a decade, even longer. Right.
Right.
And it was funny too. The thing that I like about that show is something that I've been wanting to talk about, and we never really get to it. But in the movie Searching for Bobbi Fisher, he has like his father's a sports writer, so he knows games, he knows professional sports and stuff, and his mother is a mother, just like a mother. And this kid's like, I don't know, 10, 11 years old. He's just a little boy. Right? And he plays chess for fun. And his father, one afternoon the kid beats his dad bloody. And he's like, oh. So then he gets him like the best chess coach in New York, which is like New York City's always been the chess capital of America anyway. Right? And
I'll believe
I think
you.
it's, a lot of Europeans coming over and whatnot. So his father gets him like a chess coach, right? And now the kid likes to play in the park, which is, you don't know where some of these people, they're in the park all day, playing chess for $1. I mean, they don't have jobs.
Yeah.
They don't have a, visible means of support, Maybe they're, what is it? What is the thing? You get vagrants.
Oh,
they're
yes.
vagrants, they're
Yeah.
winos, they're drug addicts. I mean, who knows what these people are? But the kid likes to go there and play, and these guys play chess, right? It's like the Rucker Park of chess.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now he's got this guy who's like, Mr. Classical Chess and giving him lessons, and you should do it this way and la-di-da-di-da. And then you got the guys in the park that are like, no, you bring out your queen and you go. 'Cause it's different. And it got me to thinking. Because,
Which usually happens.
Well, okay, this is very long way around the barn, but.
Which also usually happens.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to save us from that. That's in the brochure now.
Okay, yes, I saw that.
Anyway, the idea, and this is kind of hard to formulate, but we, especially me, I'm always advocating we need more big tournaments. We want big-time darts, and we want to play for more money. We want to be on TV. We want to be on a big stage because, the guys that dedicate their lives to this game should get some sort of a reward for it.
Right.
It irks the
Daylights
bejesus out of me
out of you.
that the only people that are making money off the game are people that make soft tip machines or own soft tip machines or run, like the ADO.
Yeah.
Like we're going to pay out less than 50% of the entry fees and we're keeping the rest. What is that? It's for the players. It's horrible. It's just horrible. I'm not going to get into why they do this or why they do that. I mean, it's just horrible, right? So I'm all for this. I'm all for like growing this stuff. But here's the problem. I love coffee. We all know that. We all know that, like, and I've been drinking gourmet coffee.
You're supposed to drink 8 cups of water a day, not 8 cups of coffee a day.
There's water in the coffee. I don't understand how that doesn't
help.
Yeah. Somebody molecular level is going to have to explain that to me because I refuse to believe it. It's like the Woody Allen movie where he wakes up 200 years later and finds out that all the things that you thought were bad for you were good for you.
Yeah.
So my diet
Well, that happens
like
on a weekly basis. Anyway.
Coffee, pizza, and cigarettes is going to save me in the end. Anyway, the idea, though, about coffee was, I was driving around town the other day, and I went by an old coffee house that I used to go to when I was in college. And it was coffee houses used to be, they had like old sofas and beanbag chairs
Right.
and like this kind of like, I don't know where you get the carpeting in some of these coffee houses. You used to be able to smoke in them too. And you'd have an espresso, and you would sit there and you would talk for hours about whatever. You talk about, how one professor didn't know anything, or all professors didn't know anything because we knew everything, right? And you talk about whatever. And you'd have coffee while you were there, right?
Right.
You sit there for hours, and you would hang out. And
Which
it
this
was
has to do with
awesome.
what?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
So now, what do? I run around looking for Starbucks.
Yes.
Right? It's a fantastic
Well,
cup
you
of
really
coffee.
pretty much know where every one of them is.
Well, now that I have an iPhone 5, it's
Yeah.
going to be easier. But you go, the coffee's great. It's like McDonald's. It's the same everywhere you go. They have their own filtration system, so they always filter the water the same way. Because
Right, okay.
the water is what makes the coffee, aside from the fact that you have to brew it at the correct temperature, which most coffee pots are unable to do. Right. So, but it got me to thinking that, like, when did I become a corporate coffee guy? And boy, do I miss the old coffee houses. You go into a coffee house now, and you've got dueling laptops. It looks like people are playing Battleship. I mean, everybody's sitting there in front of an iPad or a laptop, and nobody's talking to each other like they used to.
They're all chatting online.
Yeah. And they could be Facebooking each other from
Exactly.
across the
They
room. I
might
mean,
be.
who knows,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's
Where are you
insane.
at? 10 seats behind you.
But this is the thing that has given me pause. Is like darts has been pretty much an alternative lifestyle up until now. I mean, it had a lot more players, 20 years ago or whatnot. But if you look at the people that are regularly playing now, I mean, they're kind of off the reservation when it comes to, mainstream kind of America. And the people that play a lot, I mean, I go on airplanes and, people are like, oh, where are you going? Oh, I'm going here. Oh, what for? I won't even tell them I'm going to a dart tournament. No, because then I have to explain that, darts actually does exist. And
It'd be the same conversation every plane ride.
Oh, I gave up after 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's just a business trip. I travel a lot. How are you? What are you doing?
Right.
Just change the
yeah.
subject. And invariably, if I travel with Jill, I'm doomed. Oh, we're going to a dart tournament. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, but then you can
start.
let her explain it.
Yeah, but
She likes
it's
to
just
talk.
uncomfortable because, she does. And anyway, so my concern, though, is that as we move forward and we try to create these great big events like in Vegas, like the NWDS is coming up. It's going to be fantastic. They've got a fantastic venue for the final, which that reminds me, by the way, your registrations have to be in by the end of the week.
That's good to know.
Midnight Eastern, 11 Central, 9 Pacific.
By Friday.
So if you haven't signed up, you have to do it now. Go to newworlddartseries.com and find the link to sign up. And do
You
it
have 2 days.
Yeah, you have 2 days. Use PayPal. And actually, we got a nice little note. I'll read it. Can you read that? You want me to read this?
No, you're closer.
Okay, let me see if I can make this bigger because we got a nice little note that the staff of the NWDS wanted to communicate to everybody. So let me give this a rip here. From the staff of the NWDS and the North American Championship Tour. 4 months ago, the staff of the New World Dart Series began offering dart players across the country the opportunity to earn their entry to the New World Dart Series No. 2 event in Las Vegas from the comfort of their own backyards, or at least their favorite local pub. When the first hometown events were scheduled, we honestly did not know what to expect in terms of participation and level of involvement from local event hosts. Today, after 40 hometown events in 35 locations, drawing over 675 participants, we are humbled by the level of support for long-format, professional-caliber darts in North America. In short, the hometown event program has succeeded beyond our wildest dreams, and it is all due to you, Steve. Oh, no.
No.
Due to you, the players.
Not so
event
fast, my
hosts,
friend.
venue owners and sponsors. The support you give us is a driving force behind what we do, and we want to take this occasion to thank you from the bottom of our hearts for accompanying us on this step of the journey to take darts to the next level in North America. We couldn't do it without you. It's a very nice note. Too many prepositional phrases at the end.
Well,
I had a hard time with that.
It's from the staff.
And hopefully, there's another NWDS event. It's going to be in New Orleans toward the end of the year.
Oh,
which
really?
I am dying to go to. I've never set foot in New Orleans.
Oh, New Orleans is a
cannot
blast.
wait.
Yeah.
I want to
You definitely
get there
wanna go there.
early and stay late.
Yeah.
And I heard the bars are open 24 hours.
Some of them are, yeah.
Must be a bizarre place to live. I cannot imagine what New Orleans is like. I knew a guy from New Orleans way back when I was living in California, and he's like, I just can't wait to go back. I hate L.A. And I'm like, how can you hate L.A.? He's like, no. New Orleans is so much better. So we'll see.
All right.
We'll give it a chance. Anyway, that was from the New World
Do
Dart
you
Series.
do you want to do the results, or do you want to take a break and come back and do the results?
What results?
From New York.
From New York. Where are we on time?
You're blocking the...
I'm blocking the thingy.
Yeah.
We're right on the half. All right, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You're listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve. Okay, back for the second half, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor. Also, thanks Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators. We'll get to the results, but let me just
try and finish this up.
I'm not sure I made my point. My concern is that as we move forward and as we get bigger and better events, and as we grow the top end of the sport, right? I don't want to lose the coffee house.
But
you know what I mean?
You need some corporate involvement. Right. So, but
I just don't want it to be like corporate coffee.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like the McDonald's where they hired a consultant to come up with a color scheme that would chase you out of there in 15 minutes so you wouldn't hang out there. You know what I mean? I mean, the PDC does a nice job. I mean, it's very kind of glitzy, and like the cheerleaders they had on stage when the guys were, I wasn't sure if they were kind of crossing the line there or what. But, for the fans, if it gets the fans, into it and stuff, then great.
Yeah.
Right? Because the other thing we need to do is figure out a way to get fans, right? And I think you'll get fans if we can do a television production as popular as the PDC's was.
Do you think you're going to lose the coffee house effect, though, seeing as darts is still a bar sport? And that a lot of people are going to be playing in those establishments when they start?
I hope not. I mean, I think part of the problem with Chicago and the reason darts has decreased so much in popularity is that there aren't as many cool places to play. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things about Darts Live that's made it so successful is that people like going to those places and hanging out and playing there. Right? I mean, you've seen what we have. I mean, the best dart bars in Chicago, one of them's a bank now. I mean, they've all disappeared one by one, and then the further you get in the city, the harder it is to park and all this other stuff, and then In the hipper parts of town, the bars are so small you can't get 8 boards in there.
True.
Kind of thing. So I mean, it's kind of weird. That's why I'm convinced that venue problems are one of the things that
They're holding us back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And they seem to have that licked in New York. They seem to have, venues that are actively want this stuff here. They want the dart players in there. They want to host events. They want to
Sure. You can give 48 guys for one Saturday at darts.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with, people making money as long as the players are getting rewarded.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, if the only people getting rewarded are operators and tournament organizers, then you can shear a sheep many times, but you can only skin it once, kind of a deal, right? Which is, I think, why a lot of these, established tournaments have gone down in popularity is there's less and less for the players. And, I'm not blaming anybody. Part of it is, economic conditions. I mean, you haven't raised the prize money in 15 years, but travel expenses have tripled.
Right.
Do the math. What do you think is going to
happen? That definitely doesn't help.
Right. So let's do some results. Let's start with New York, which is our little model of wonderment, wonderfulness.
Wonderfulness,
whatever.
yes.
Wonderfulness.
Your jealousy.
So what do we got? We had men's and women's events.
Men's and women's. We'll start with the women's. We're going to do top 8.
This is
best of 7 legs.
This is the Dart Players New York event number 2, which was held last
March
Saturday
9th,
at Danny Mac's in Yonkers.
27 women players, top 8. Mary McHugh, Imelda McGinnis, Deborah Burkich, and Kim Weisberg. And then your semifinals, which was drawn randomly. Carrie McDonald beat Mary McHugh 4-0. Gloria Gutierrez won 4-2 over Lori Harnisher.
Okay.
I'm kind of confused, though.
Yeah,
anyway. Sorry. And then your winner is Gloria Gutierrez 4-1 over Carrie McDonald.
Congratulations to Glowbug. I'm sure she was happy about that.
And then your men's event 2, top 8 is George Timponi, Pat Gallagher, Bob Garzone. Where's it, Garzoni?
Garzone.
Bill DeWitt.
Good players. All good players.
With top 4, or the semifinals, Ryan Vanderweet wins 6-2 over Tim O'Gorman, and Darren Starr wins 6-4 over Gary French, with Darren Starr 6-0 over Ryan Vanderweet.
6-0.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congrats to Darren Starr and all the players. I see that top 8. Darren beat Bob 6-5. I'd like to hear about that. That sounds like a pretty good match. And where was that? That was at a different place.
That was at Behan's Pub in the Bronx.
Behan's Pub in the Bronx.
And they had 48 guys.
They're in Yonkers. They're in the Bronx. They go to Manhattan. They play in Queens. I'm telling you, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you want to get darts going, talk to Anthony.
Right.
Right. Hometown event winners for the New World Dart Series over the weekend. Hamilton, Ontario. Ron Miller, Bernie Miller, Shelley Miller, and Maria Mason, who may or may not be married to one of the Millers, because it apparently was a Miller weekend. Columbus, Ohio, Kathy Salway and Marlise Keel, Kevin Yazinchuk, Tim Nickel, and DJ Sayre got through for those, so they'll be going to Vegas. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I bet.
I've got it all planned out. It's going to be nice. See, I've got Indianapolis this weekend, which is a great tournament with great people. And then right after that is Virginia Beach. So you play 2 tournaments back-to-back, figure out where you're at. You got a Easter weekend to kind of recover, see the family, whatever, and then boom, time for Vegas.
Over to Vegas.
Time for the big kahuna, the big cheese. Yeah. Virginia Beach is funny because last year...
And you haven't played in a tournament in, 3 weeks?
Yeah, I don't know, whenever it was. Yeah, it's been I kind of thought I had an extra tournament in there somewhere and wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Didn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know what I did. I ended up with an extra week I didn't know what to do with. So we did that Winmore Masters thing over the weekend, which was nice. I mean, I got in, 25 and 9, 34 legs of 5-0 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Played like trash.
Well.
Borrowed darts. My litany,
my
litany of complaints was long but distinguished.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was, it was interesting. I mean, I can't see why every Saturday that wouldn't be like a popular thing to do. I mean, it's if you have the time. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think Saturdays are rough for people with families because you got to take kids to ball games
Yeah.
in the summer, and you got barbecues or whatever. You got to run errands. That's why I think weeknights. Like
For the league, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm
For an
saying
in-house
Tuesday night, so we don't have to move the show.
Right.
Right.
So do you think it's better, like for something like Vegas, the size of that tournament, to play 2 weeks, have a week off, or would it be better for like Vegas to be instead of Virginia Beach?
I like the idea of having a week off,
Yeah.
just to kind of like, if you need rest, you can take the rest. If you need to practice, you have time to practice. It's very difficult to practice when you're playing tournaments every weekend. I remember talking to Darren Young about this last year, and Darren was saying, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, aside from all the things that you do having a normal life, which, I hear rumors of this all the time.
Yeah. Right.
But if you're going to play every weekend, and these weekend tournaments are marathons, I mean, you're going to play darts 30 hours.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, at some point, you got to let your arm rest and recuperate, and by the time you've rested and recuperated, you're packing for the next weekend. I can see why, you're not going to practice. I mean, you may like throw for a half an hour, throw for an hour, go out, play league on a Tuesday, which is a casual,
just to keep loose.
Well, yeah, I mean, but how many legs are you going to play in league anyway?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
10.
Yeah, it's not even worth warming up for.
Right.
I'm gonna warm up, play 3 legs, and sit down for an hour. Why did I?
Why
I do
am
that
I
on the
here?
weekends. What you guys want to play darts, or you want to sit around? Kind of. That's always been my attitude.
Yeah.
So, and then some of the places there's not enough boards, so if you're not playing, you're sitting. You have no choice.
Right.
And if that's the case, then then you're really hosed, as far as like getting a good night of darts.
Sure.
Right. You're going to drive across town, play 4 legs. I mean, it's silly.
Yeah. And watch a basketball game in between.
Or listen to these ridiculous trivia night things, which, believe me, you cannot block this out when you're about to throw a double, and all of a sudden you're shouting out Tennessee and UConn.
Yeah.
Right? And you're not allowed to shout the answers out.
Or not only that, even if you're not shouting them out, you hear the question while you're not throwing, and so you're thinking of the answer while you're stepping up to the board.
Here's a trivia question. Okay, A is 1, B is 2, and Z is 26. So you give a number value to every letter. What element in the periodic table of elements do the letters equal the atomic number?
Oh, my God.
We're going to play a song while you think about
All
that.
right.
And literally, I couldn't even hit the board until he gave the answer, because I'm like, it's got to be aluminum. He gave 4 answers. He gave like aluminum, uranium,
it was
iron,
multiple choice.
Yes,
you were
4
not even
multiple
going to give me multiple choice. You were just going to say, come up with it.
No, I wasn't gonna, no, I wouldn't do that. But I mean, it was like, so I'm trying to play, and all I can think of is like, no, it's got to be aluminum. And I'm like, what is the atomic number for iron? Anyways, miss.
Right.
And like, no, there's no way it's uranium. I mean, what's uranium? Like 236? Uranium 235? No, okay, wait, that's not an element. That is is that a molecule? No, wait. Miss.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I cannot play under these conditions. It's bad enough with all the distractions that you would get in a local tavern in a metropolitan city
Without
on any week.
Without having trivia thrown at you.
Yeah, the trivia that's just the end of the world. And there were a couple of venues that tried to run trivias the same time that they had dart leagues running in there.
Happens
and I'm
all
like,
the time.
You want darts? Have darts. You don't want darts? Take the boards down, but you can't have it both ways.
Well, the problem is
and
for
keep
the
people happy.
league night, there's only 10 people, and then they end up getting 30 for...
Well, then move the league night or get rid of the boards.
Right.
Because it's ridiculous. I mean, come on. They don't play baseball in the rain.
Sure they do.
No, they stop the game.
Well, if it's raining really, really hard.
Whatever.
They had the World Series game in the rain.
Oh, we got to do Premier League. We got to talk about part. There was one other. Well, the only bit of news that I thought was interesting was Sky Sports. I think a week or two ago, I was like worried. I'm like, hey, John Gwynn is quitting as the announcer, and gee, what does this portend, right? Well, apparently the PDC was listening. So they just announced that Sky Sports has re-upped with the PDC for another 5 years.
Good.
You're going to have 5 more years of, PDC darts on Sky Sports, which is, hallelujah.
That's great. Yeah.
I cannot imagine that they're not doing great with this. I have to think they're doing really well.
Yeah, I would think so, too.
Are we on the 45 yet?
I'm not sure.
I keep covering up the time.
I know.
Okay, we're right on the 45. We'll take our last break, and then we'll talk some PDC. Are you listening to Dart Talk with Mark and Steve? Okay, back for the fourth quarter, brought to you by the Dart Zone.
Stay in the zone.
TheDartZone.com is an official Cosmo distributor.
And Redwood Darts.
And Redwood Darts and Windy City Fabricators and anybody else who in the future will help us.
There you go.
Lord knows we need to help. Just to, what's interesting, somebody in the chat room saying, the bars are a stepping stone, which is fine.
Yeah.
But you need a place to be. You need somewhere to go. You need goals. You need something else out there.
Right.
To get people playing.
You need a venue, like you're saying, where you can have 50 people instead of your local bar that you're playing at. Just when you're going out and throwing darts isn't going to be able to host something like that.
I want to win the lottery. I would put together the
greatest
greatest dart bar in
right.
the history of great dart bars. Mm-hmm. I mean, people from all over the world would come just to hang out. It'd be awesome. It would be expensive. The wait staff would be pricey.
Right.
I'll just leave it
like
at that.
Yeah.
Okay, PDC. They had
they had a tournament.
Yeah, congrats to John Part. He won the UK Masters. Let me run the results down real quick. Top 8, Stuart Kellett beat Robert Thornton 6-1. Andy Hamilton beat Phil Taylor 6-3.
Wow.
Taylor averaged 105.
And lost?
6-3.
Lost 6-3.
Lost 6-3.
Wow.
It's just, I'm telling you, man, it's like the level of darts now is like really exciting. I wanted to talk about stats. We'll get to that next week. John Part beat Simon Whitlock 6-4, and Adrian Lewis beat James Wade 6-2. James Wade can't be happy. In the semis, Stuart Kellett beat Andy Hamilton 6-3, and Part beat Adrian Lewis 6-2, and Part won the final 6-4. A cool
right.
20,000 pound for John.
Nice.
That was interesting. Yeah, it was Stuart Kellett, I guess, is like some IT guy who just started, playing
throwing
local
darts
and decided he wanted to like really go for it, and guys getting results. I mean,
yeah.
I'm telling you, that's the guy who's willing to just be there and practice on his own and then just go out and compete. Those are the guys that, those are the stories I want.
Right.
I mean, it was funny. I posted something on Twitter, because I asked, who do you guys want us to profile next? And somebody said something like, the more I know about the dart players, the less I want to know. And I'm like, ooh.
Really?
Kind of caustic.
All right.
So that's a perception that's going to have to get battled. We're going to have to figure out a good way to tackle that and turn that perception around.
Right.
And that's going to take some time. But it's everybody's got.
It's not easy to have high profile sport if you can't profile any of your players.
But nobody gets profiled anyway.
Right. But I mean, if nobody wants to know,
well, because they don't know what they're missing.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if they knew the real guy, then they wouldn't hold that one comment the guy made against them, and
sure.
everything would be fine. You know what I mean? I mean, people are laboring under a vast. Not ignorance so much, but they're just not getting. People don't get enough information. Yeah, they don't get enough at all. So we could try to address that. As far as the Premier League,
our picks were not good.
Well, they weren't bad. I think we picked 2 winners, and Taylor lost.
Well, 2 and 3 is not good.
Well, yeah, but it's not 0-5.
No,
I mean, I don't know that anybody picked against Taylor. So I mean, we're probably 50-50 against the field. This week. I think really some tasty matches. You got MVG and Wes Newton, and I have a feeling that Wes Newton really wants to beat Van Gerwen bad.
Okay.
I have a feeling that Wes Newton looks at Van Gerwen.
He's a 2-5 favorite.
Who is?
Van Gerwen.
Oh, he's been playing fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if the guy's going to average over 100 every single match he plays, he's going to be the betting favorite.
Right.
Absolutely. Adrian Lewis and Gary Anderson, a rematch of the World Championship final from a couple years ago. Anderson just beat Taylor. He's,
just playing well. Yeah.
Is he going to be resting on his laurels, or is he going to get
continue
back in the grind?
Right.
I mean, that's the thing that I wonder about Taylor. Is because Taylor's like, yeah, well, I'm going to make the playoffs. It's like, week in, week out, this grind. Phil's not a young spring chicken. A lot of these guys are younger than him. So
yeah, but he still averaged 105.
Yeah, that's the sick thing.
So I mean,
that's the sick thing. He gave everybody.
If it's wearing on him, it sure doesn't show.
Well, you know what? I tell you, I've seen him lose like short format matches like that where he averaged over 100 and he missed 2 doubles and 1 leg to break or hold his throw, and that was the difference, right? I mean, it doesn't take much when the other guy's playing good too.
Yeah.
That's why you need longer formats. You know what I mean? Raymond van Barneveld and Robert Thornton. I wonder if Thornton, if the luster is gone, if he's hit the wall. He got smoked bad. He played so good 2 weeks ago, averaged like that 109,
right.
and then got obliterated the following week. I mean, it's just, week in, week out. And then Phil Taylor against Andy Hamilton. I mean, they just played over the weekend, and can Andy beat him 2 times in a row? No. Right, so we like Phil there.
Right.
Thornton and Raymond. Raymond's quietly been, excelling.
I would say come back with Thornton.
You like Thornton there?
Yeah.
Really? Raymond's a huge favorite. You get a good price on Thornton. You want to go with Thornton one more week?
Yeah.
We'll take Thornton one more week and see if he best of 3. Right.
Right.
We this will be the 3rd weekend in a row we picked him, so we'll see who shows up. Whitlock and Wade. I gotta say Wade's in better form. Yeah, it's a betting, and that's probably like even the draw is only 3.5 to 1.
Yeah.
I don't know who you like there. I say take Wade.
I like Wade.
You like Wade?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got Wade, Thornton, and Taylor, and then Adrian Lewis and Gary Anderson.
Adrian Lewis has only won once in this thing.
Yeah, it was last week. Remember, I told you he was going to get Van Gerwen, and he got him pretty good.
Yeah.
So now will he wake up and?
Yeah, I think so.
Gary Anderson, I don't know, they're both coming off of like big wins, right? Nobody's been beating Mike, so that's a big win for Adrian, I gotta think, and then a big win for Gary taking out Phil. I mean, Phil only loses twice a year in this thing, maybe. So
I would lean towards Adrian.
Okay, Manchester. Gary's a Scott. Okay, you want Adrian there? I'll go with Adrian. And then Wes and Van Gerwen. Think Mike will lose 2 in a row?
No.
That's
a big upset if you go with Wes Newton.
Yeah, I say we take Van Gerwen. We got an upset already this week. So we got Van Gerwen, Lewis, Wade, Thornton, and Taylor. So Thornton's our big upset. Thornton over Van Barneveld. Okay. Yeah. All right. I don't know. Doesn't seem like we're going to go 5-0.
Well, as long as we don't go 0-5, right? I would just prefer to improve on the 2 and 3 that we went on last week. So
I think it would
take a 4-1.
It'd be hard to go 0-5 on this thing. It would just be hard. I mean, these matches are not real long. One dart here or there can be the difference between any of these guys. They're all stellar players.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, I don't know. So, okay. So we got that. We're done with that. Yay. Before we wrap it up, though, there was one thing that I wanted. I had this thought in my head. And we can end with this.
You just had one thought?
Well because
just this thought you wanted to discuss.
It was a thought that I thought was, show worthy. I have many thoughts, but yeah.
They're not, they're not all worth talking about.
Yeah, well, obviously. I think some of the ones we talk about on the show, people
aren't even worth talking about, right?
Although, whatever.
They are to us. That's all that matters, right?
Pretty much. What I had in mind was I have to drive to Vegas in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's a long drive, and I've actually never driven through Colorado. I've never driven through Nebraska, right? And I was kind of
you would much rather drive through Colorado than Nebraska. It's prettier.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah.
If it's daylight. Anyway, so I was kind of thinking, well, I wonder if there's any cool little detours we could take. And I was thinking, what about Mount Rushmore? So I looked it up on the map, and it's way too far. And so I'm staring at this Mount Rushmore thing on my laptop, and then a TV commercial comes on, one of these political channels, where the guy's standing in front of Mount Rushmore. So I got 2 Mount Rushmores now. I got one on the laptop, and then I got another guy yakking. Chris Matthews, I think, was yakking
on the TV.
So I got the idea. I'm like, if we had a Mount Rushmore of American darts, who'd be on it?
I don't know.
mean, aside from you and me, there's
yes,
there's
yes.
room for 2 more heads.
Right.
Who would you put on Mount Rushmore?
Who would want to put somebody with us? Right.
So like John Kramer, I've talked to at some tournaments, and he kind of was like giving me a little guff, giving me a little flack because I don't appreciate the history. I'm like, well, where is the history?
This could be a Dart Talk poll question.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Is we'll take suggestions on this one because there's 4 heads.
Yeah.
Right? So we have room for at least 2. If we get 4 nominations that are more worthy than you and I, then...
Is there a rule there only has to be 4?
Well, yeah, it's Mount Rushmore.
Okay.
It's like, this can only be one state capital.
Right.
I mean, it's sort of like, these are grammar
if you had
school
Dart,
rules.
if you have Dart Rushmore, you could have...
Mount Rushmore, right? 4. So we need 4 Americans. Who would be the 4 Americans on our
that
Dart...
you would put on Mount Rushmore.
Right.
On Dart Rushmore.
Like we had Jerry Umberger on the show, I don't know, a couple of months ago. He's one of these guys that goes way back. John Kramer goes way
already.
back. There are guys that have passed away that I always hear of. You know, that I never got a chance to meet, never got a chance to see play. If you go to Blueberry Hill, which I won't be going to this year, unfortunately, they've got pictures of all the winners all throughout the years, right? And it goes back, that dart tournament's been around since the 70s. So if you want to nominate somebody for Mount Rushmore, send an email to darttalk@gmail.com and tell us why.
Yeah, I like that.
And we need 4 names. And you can also put it on Twitter if you want. It's we're at Dart Talk, and put a hashtag Mount Rushmore on it so we can kind of sort them all out if you guys are tweeting about this stuff. And we'll see. We'll give it a couple of weeks, and I'll try to solicit some names from people when I go to Vegas, when I go to Virginia Beach. I should see pretty much all the
get some ideas,
all the tournament players. Yeah. I thought this would be interesting, and you don't forget you can get our YouTube channel. They changed kind of the graphics on YouTube, so it's actually going to start looking cooler. If you just go on YouTube and search Dart Talk US, all one word, you'll find our channel, and that's where all the old shows are that have video.
Yeah.
For the audio, you can go to iTunes, you can go to TuneIn.com, you can go to Stitcher.com. We got almost 100 shows out there, so if you guys want to catch up. Good time to do it, I would think. Now,
sure,
it's got a lot of people checking old shows the last couple.
It's always a good time to catch up and watch some old shows of Dart Talk.
Yeah, and we should have some news coming up in a couple of weeks, and we will have the website up. I'm hoping now, looking at my schedule, by the end of May we should have it up. Hopefully sooner.
Something to look forward to.
Yeah, the website's going to be cool.
I won't be holding my breath.
Oh, ye of little faith. No, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. I got like a lot.
Not disagreeing that it's going to be good.
Learning to use these tools is taking a lot of time. But
not holding my breath that it's going to be up.
It's already up. Oh. There's just nothing on it. Dart Talk US is the website.
It exists.
It's just blank.
Right. Okay.
I mean, we should put something up there. But
at least a logo or something.
Are you going to go to Indianapolis this weekend?
I am not.
Okay, just fair warning. I heard all the hotels were booked. So if you haven't booked a hotel for Indianapolis, you guys better get on the stick. And don't forget the sign-ups for the Vegas event, the New World Dart Series. Yeah, they end on Friday, so if you haven't signed up, now's the time to do it. Go to newworlddartseries.com and get on with it.
Mm-hmm.
Come and play
some
big-time darts. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. I got everything geared that way. I got 2 warm-up tournaments.
It's like your Masters.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a major, definitely.
Right.
And I think if things go well, New Orleans is going to be a major, and then you got all these other PDC tournaments in there, so it's going to be, the year is starting. Okay, the preliminaries are over.
Right.
Right.
It's time to bring out your best darts.
All right. You got anything else?
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right. Well, then, go ahead.
I saw something else there. Were you curious on what to pack?
I was going to say we should do a segment on how to pack for a tournament. We could do it next week. There's some other stuff we didn't get to this week.
Right.
I'm not going to. There's no point going on for an hour and a half.
Right.
You know.
Most people probably agree with that too.
Nice. Whose side are you on? Sometimes I wonder. Okay. Thanks everybody for listening.
Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, we will Dart Talk to everybody next week. So y'all take care. As soon as I find the closing credits, I will play them.